Tara.
And I'm Austin.
And we're a married couple.
And we are embarking on another season of lovingly snarking on Hallmark's Countdown to Christmas lineup.
You can't see my dancing, but I'm dancing over here because this is our first episode.
Yes, and we are doing the first
movie,
which is Jingle Bell Bride.
Jingle Bell Bride. And so we are getting ready to sit down and watch our very first Hallmark movie in October. Merry Christmas.
It's very strange, but let's do this.
All right. So we are watching Jingle Bell Bride, which is going to air, well, it aired yesterday, but we're watching it a day late. So it aired on Saturday, October 24th, and we are watching it and bringing you all the highlights. But first, we're going to tell you our predictions for what we think is going to happen before we watch anything.
So what we know is a little bit from the preview, right, as well as the little blurb that's on the TV.
And the blurb is always a gem on our television. This one is one sentence long gem.
A wedding planner finds romance with a handsome local after traveling to a remote town in Alaska to find a rare flower for a celebrity client.
All right. And we know from the preview that this flower is the Jingle Bell flower because we did see that in the preview. And we know, these two lovely people's faces on the screen, but we really don't know much else than that. So what are your predictions?
So I think that it's all about flowers, right? So I think that there's going to be, like, maybe she has never been good with plants before. And she's always, like, it's like not a green thumb, but is it like a black thumb? Like, is that what kills plants? And
brown thumb?
Brown, is that?
I don't know.
Like
black thumb, brown thumb.
Black, that may be
purple thumb.
Purple thumb.
I think I've always called it a purple thumb.
I have no idea what kind of thumb color it is, but she's not good with plants is my prediction. And not only that, I think that there's going to be a plant that represents the growth of their relationship. And so he's going to teach her how to care and provide affection for a plant.
And I think that she is going to be from the big city, because if we're going to a small town in Alaska, we have to be coming from the big city. So either Chicago or New York.
Right. And we know that he is the botanist who resides in Alaska. So someone's got to come from the big city. It's got to be her.
Right.
I think that at the end of this, she's going to end up setting shop up in Alaska. And
she's going to move there?
She's going to move there because she's a wedding planner. And so she's going to become the only wedding planner in Alaska because apparently Alaska is really remote.
Bespoke wedding planning.
And she will have one preferred vendor, and it will be his flower company.
Probably the only vendor in town. I predict that there will be gaudy flowers. Because not only if we're going to have a movie about the flowers and the Christmas, we're going to have the gaudy flower Christmas, just like we have the gaudy Christmas.
And in order for them to fall in love, she's got to be in Alaska for a long time. So there's got to be a reason she stays in Alaska when she's going up there for a client who's clearly not in Alaska. So it's going to be something like maybe she convinces the client to have her wedding in Alaska.
Ooh.
I mean, because there's got to be some sort of like either a catastrophe or she does something that convinces that client to go there.
Okay. And I think that because she's staying there, she's going to end up planning an event in Alaska. Like, she obviously has to stay there long enough to fall in love with this gentleman, whatever happens. And that while she's there, because that's what she does and that's her nature, she's going to end up planning some sort of wedding or some sort of event.
Well, I mean, I think she has to if she's going to set up her own shop there. She's got to prove that she's
going to
save
the town or save the day on something.
And you know how I like to do this? I predict that the final shot will be flowers.
Okay. And my only other prediction is that there will be a sleigh ride, because if we're in Alaska, we're in the snow, you have to get in a sleigh because that's what we do. I don't know.
I mean, if it's Alaska, why wouldn't it be like a dog sled thing?
That's not romantic, though. Sleigh, like one of those just big ornate, like, sleighs.
Romantic Christmas sleigh rides.
Romantic Christmas sleigh.
Well, I guess we need to go find out what happens.
So we've got our snacks queued up because that's what we do. That's how we roll. We got our bevies and we are ready. We got our jammies on in the middle of the afternoon. We are ready to watch our first Merry Christmas, Austin, our first Christmas movie.
Merry Christmas, Tara.
And we still have our fall decorations up. This
it definitely
so weird.
still says Halloween on our mantle right now.
All right. So we will be back in 2 hours to tell you not only if we were correct, but what we think about this movie.
I can't wait.
2 hours later.
All right, we're back.
We are back. And that was actually kind of delightful.
Oh. Was it?
Maybe you don't agree. I thought it was a nice little start to our Christmas season, our countdown.
I keep wondering, is it just like how bad 2020's been that I have high expectations of where Hallmark Christmas movies will allow me to escape to?
Alaska. They allow you to go to Alaska.
I will save some of my comments to this next section, but I think we should probably at least start with what actually happened and then talk about what came true.
Let's
of
tell
our
these
predictions.
Fine people what this movie is about.
All right, Tara. First episode of the season.
It's me.
It's you.
All right. Well, this is supposed to be a 1-minute summary, but let's
I'm starting the clock.
See how close we get. Okay. So our movie starts with our main character, Jess. She is a wedding planner in New York City. She works for a major company and she's planning a wedding for the major singer Renee, who is wanting to get married. And at the last minute, 2 weeks before the wedding, Renee has requested the Jingle Bell flower in her bouquet because she learned that her mother and her grandmother used the same flower in their bouquet and she just has to have it. And this elite company promised they could do anything. And so why can Jess not get this flower? So Jess doesn't think that she can get it. But when she talks to her boss says, you're looking at this big promotion to work in London. We're going to send you out to Alaska. You're going to go get that flower yourself because that's your job. That's your responsibility. You're going to get on a plane. You're going to fly there. You're going to get the flower and you're going to come home. So yet again, Jess has to miss family events and time with her sister and her niece in order to go on this business trip. But she says, I'm going to plan a 20-hour flight there and back, get the flower and come home. So she gets on the flight. She goes to Alaska and she gets in the truck with the man who comes to pick her up. A favor was called into the mayor for all of this. And Matt, the owner of the greenhouse that has this special Jingle Bell flower, comes to pick her up from the airport and, helps her cut the flowers and get them ready for packaging them up and putting them back on the plane to send her home. However, on their way back to the airport, a moose crossing poses a challenge when the car stops and they can't get it started again. So she misses her flight just barely and she's stuck in the town of Topeka, Alaska, population 112 for the night. But no fear, it's the start of the Jingle Bell Flower Festival tonight and she's going to participate. So she gets a chance to enjoy the first day of the festival and then multiple catastrophes happen that keep the plane from going off for another 4 days, and she has to stay for the entirety of the 4-day Jingle Bell Festival. And she stays with Matt and she stays with his family while they carefully guard their flowers that she's going to take back when she's done. And over that time, she gets to know Matt. She feels like she's falling in love with Matt. Matt is ignoring his letters from the university back in New York that he used to attend, that he's left in order to come back to Alaska to do his work with the flowers in Topeka. And they fall in love, but Jess is desperate to get home because she has to be there for the wedding or else she's going to lose her promotion and she's going to lose everything. So after some dancing and some fun, and she's the Jingle Bell Princess, she miraculously is able to get back on her flight with the help of the rest of the town. She packages the flowers up. She takes them home. She gets them to the wedding just in time to not lose her job and to save the day. And then as she's taking the bouquet to the bride and the wedding has gone off beautifully without a hitch, who shows up outside the door of the church but Matt? He's going to move back to New York and he's going to be with Jess and they're going to live happily ever after. The end.
Well done. I honestly think that is one of the best summaries that you have ever done. I mean, mine always suck. So I'm only going to compare it to the higher mark of where you've been. That was so good. I feel like I watched the movie all over again.
I feel so supported right now by you.
This is while we do snark, we do love.
So that you love my summary. That's good because y'all, summarizing's not as easy as it might seem to get all the highlights without doing too much.
I get really anxious about it. And I'm like, what did we just watch?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that happen.
How do you say
And
Hallmark?
sometimes these movies take a lot of setting up in terms of like how we get there and all of those details. And then it's like, even in that summary, I kind of, the whole last hour of the movie became like 5 sentences.
Well, I think you
So-
did a good job of like the initial conflict of what keeps her in Alaska. And then the middle part is whatever. And the
That's what
end
it's
is
all
the
in
important.
love.
Right. All right. So let's talk about predictions and whether we were right or not.
Okay, so starting with my first prediction, that she was going to be from the big city. This is correct. She is from, our main character, Jess,
Ding, ding, ding.
is from New York City. So 1 point me.
Well, 1 point us. It's our
1
podcast.
point, okay. 1 point
That
for-
way everyone's a winner. It's
Okay.
Hallmark movies. Everyone has to win. Except for the villains.
Which we do have one in this film.
I know. I'm so excited. Okay. So my prediction is not a winner. I predicted that she was going to convince the client to move to Alaska. No, didn't happen. Not even close.
Opposite.
I mean, I guess maybe I did say like catastrophe had to happen, but you know, she did get stuck there because of multiple like a moose crossing issue and then
That's not moving to Alaska.
But I said it was like there would have to be either a catastrophe or she was going to have to convince. But I was definitely, I was wrong.
So, and then in the same vein, we were mostly correct about her having to plan an event in Alaska. So, yeah, that's what she does. She shines at it. And while they're there, the Jingle Bell Flower Festival, they have a pipe burst in the community center and they have to think about different locations. And she's stepping in right away going, oh, no, that's a terrible idea.
Right. Like when she was like, lasagna doesn't travel well and it stains. I also predicted something incorrect, which is that she was going to have not a green thumb, but some different kind of colored thumb that represented the fact that she kills plants all her life and needed someone to teach her how to raise a plant, and that it would represent the love and growth and time and blah, blah, blah. It didn't happen. So it doesn't matter. It didn't happen.
I predicted gaudy flowers, and that also didn't happen. I mean, the flowers themselves, I guess you could say that they're gaudy.
But it wasn't like over the top by any means. Like
No,
the
I mean, it was a
request
wedding.
for the flower was
Weddings
gaudy.
have a lot of flowers,
Right.
And yeah, and generally, like, this was not too Christmassy, so there was no gaudiness in that either with the flowers. So,
I also said that she was going to set up shop in Alaska and be a planner in Alaska. And I was real wrong about this too, because not only does she not set up shop, he does not become her preferred vendor ever, just her preferred love. So it just didn't work out.
he's her preferred lover,
Yeah, but
professor. We'll
that's
get to that.
But she's not going to sell that
No,
to her
she's not.
clients.
And
That's for
not
her
gonna-
only.
Nobody needs a professor for a wedding. But my final prediction was the sleigh ride. I thought they were going to, undoubtedly, they were going to take a sleigh ride, and they did not. So that let me down.
I know. I was disappointed. I was expecting that. And like at least some dog sleds. I mean, come on. We're in Alaska.
But yeah, and I should have also made the prediction. I thought about making the prediction that we would definitely hear somebody playing the song Jingle Bells. And if I had made that prediction, I just wanted to go on record that I would have been correct.
But you didn't.
But I didn't, so I'm not. 0 points for me. It's all good.
0 points for us.
0 points. That's right. You take that fall with me.
I
babe.
take that fall with you. Last 0 pointer was the final shot, which had no flowers whatsoever. It was just them together walking down the streets of New York, falling in love, getting ready to go on a date.
All right, so I think that takes us out of our predictions. What was our final tally there? 3, 2.5,
2.13.
2.13.
Yeah.
Out of
7.
7. All right. Maybe we need to compete against ourselves in the future.
I think the bar is set pretty low for ourselves here, so I think we can do it.
And then now we can move into our snarkable moments. So do you want to take this linearly?
Yes, I think we should go in order.
Okay.
I think that I'm probably going to have more snarking than you because you thought this was
I kind
delightful.
of liked this movie. Yeah. I mean, let's see. I'm not watching it again. Okay. This is
Ever.
not, no, like, I'm not like, yes, let's buy it on DVD and make it a perennial favorite. That's not where I'm at, but it was like, okay, good start to the season there, Hallmark. Nothing too terrible.
I can appreciate, like, you know, there's no sense of when Christmas is. You know that it's nearby because of all the Christmas decorations, but it's a good starter because you're not like, and Christmas is right now, which you don't want in October. You want to know Christmas is coming, but you want to feel like you're celebrating it yet.
Right. And this movie feels like it could have really been more of a winter movie than a Christmas movie. It wasn't, Christmas didn't throw up again and again on this movie. It really didn't. Christmas just sort of spit up on this movie.
Aw, here's a little bib for
a little
you.
Dusting.
Gross. Why is your spit up dusty?
I don't know. It's been in the attic for 10 months. You could. There's no. The Jingle Bell flower, it's about a wedding, it's about winter, it's about Alaska, it's about that love. But Christmas is very much in the background. And even when we're counting down to the wedding. And the timeline was a little unclear to me.
I think it was ambiguous intentionally.
Is the wedding on Christmas Day? Is the wedding not? And then my question is, do they write these movies so that they could be either in the Hallmark Countdown to Christmas lineup or in their like winter whatever thing?
Well, I think we've learned there was some winter movie that we watched that was supposed to be a Christmas movie,
and they just made it a winter movie
and
instead.
So it makes sense. It was in Vermont.
So we watched it. But that one was supposed to be a Christmas movie, and they switched it to winter. So maybe there's some interchangeability for these. And actually, you know what? That one wasn't even a winter movie. That was a spring.
It was a spring
movie.
Fest. That's right, because it was weird
very
to see
snowy.
Snow. That's right. Movie. That's right.
So maybe there's a lot of moving around of these plots, and you just throw some mistletoe and garland in the background and call it a Jingle Bell flower instead of a winter snow bell flower or something, and boom.
Well,
Christmas
the Jingle
movie.
Bell flower is a real flower.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. No, I did not know that. I did not know if it was a made-up flower. It's
called.
rare?
I think it's called like the Jingle Bell plant, but it is a real thing. And so
the more you know.
I don't know how rare it is, but I found it on Wikipedia while I was watching.
Oh, okay. Well, then kudos to Hallmark for not totally making this thing up.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was the starting point for this. They said Jingle Bell flower, now go write a movie.
Someone just like Googled Christmas flowers, found that, and then wrote a movie.
Right. Well, worked out for them. Good season starter here.
Going back though, like I can understand why this is delightful. I feel like there was a lot of potential here. There were some cute moments for sure. I liked a lot of things about this movie, but it just didn't get me where I wanted to go. And I
didn't punch you in the face with Christmas spirit and love and romance.
It was just, there was something. It just felt like missed opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely, like, I guess it's like, it wasn't so terribly painful to watch that it was funny, but it wasn't so whimsical and magical that I was swept away. And that's what it's like, I want to be on the spectrum. This is kind of that middle of the road.
Entirely forgettable.
Absolutely.
Because you know what? By the end of December, we're going to be saying, what was that Christmas Jingle Bell movie about
Dingle
again?
Dangle movie?
The Dingle Dingle Jingle Dangle movie. Like, no memory. The Alaska movie, they were in Alaska. And so, yeah. And there were some, as we do in the Hallmark universe, there's some places where we have to say, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? There's a logical hole. There's something that's not happening the way that it's supposed to happen. And my first one was this 20-hour flight to and from Alaska. So she says that she's going to go to Alaska and she's going to leave, and she's being sent on the plane, which we'll get to why is it her even in just a second.
Right.
But she says she's going to go it's 20 hours round trip and she'll be back by the next day. And she's leaving from New York and not even going to like Anchorage. She's going to some town where Anchorage is really far away from that small town in Alaska. So there's just no way.
All of the timelines.
That was a 20-hour trip. Like
all of the timelines in this movie were weird.
Yeah.
They were like, it's 2 weeks before the wedding and she has to go get the flowers. When she gets the flowers, he's like, they should hold up on the plane ride back, which means we're still over a week out from the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So are they going to die before the wedding, which is silly?
Well, I imagine they're going to bring them home and put them in.
But they were probably
water.
stored already. But it was just like all of the timelines felt off. It was like when she gets back.
Well, and they said 2 weeks away from the wedding, and And then
She's not
suddenly
gone for 2 weeks.
she's gone for like 4 days, and then we're at the wedding. So I was very confused by all of the timelines.
I think that this movie took place in the Twilight Zone where time
It's another
changes.
time travel movie, and they just didn't tell us. Maybe that's the whole like unifying
That's the
theme.
That's the thing.
for this
We're going to
season.
look for time discrepancies now as we move forward because
That's
maybe
the
that's
multiverse.
the thread for this season.
This
love it.
This is a verse. It's not even a multiverse. Well, maybe it is a multiverse, but it's a verse where
La, la,
time
la.
is different. Time means nothing. 20 hours to Alaska round trip. Sure, that happens in
And
this
then 2
version
weeks
of
later,
the universe.
it's the I also one of my favorite opening lines to this, like before we even get on the plane, the reason she gets on the plane is because Renee, who's this like apparently like amazing star who seems to have no clout in her voice whatsoever. Like I don't know
She's
why
not
she's
a great
famous.
singer.
But anyway, but I'll buy it. But she had originally asked for some crazy flower from the side of a volcano from Ecuador.
Because surely that's easy enough, right?
Right. And so when she changes it to the rarest flower, which is the Jingle Bell flower, she's like, anyone could have a flower from the side of a volcano, but who will have a Jingle Bell flower at their wedding? And
Yeah,
it's just
nobody.
like, it was like, that's just not a sentence you hear every day. I enjoyed it.
But I did like that she wanted the flower for a real and sentimental reason.
Absolutely.
And not some, like, she's just an arbitrary celebrity who wants something because she wants it. It was like she really appreciated that flower and she wanted it.
And
So
maybe
it was worth it.
And maybe this is why. So we have an actual like villain in this movie, the coworker, where Jess works, who wants her job, who wants the promotion, who wants the big account. And, you know, when we're introduced to her, she is bringing homemade candy canes. And she's like, Jessica, would you like some of my homemade candy canes?
Like, who makes homemade candy canes?
I don't know. I've never been offered homemade candy canes.
So much work.
Friends and family that are listening, if you make candy canes, why have you never offered them to us?
Or just go buy them for $1.99 and tell us you made them.
But I've always bought mine at the store.
I never even eat mine. It's so much wasted effort. Like, who even eats candy canes? Nobody eats candy canes.
I eat candy canes.
You eat them?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I love peppermint.
The Christmas tree at my parents' house, it's just been the same candy canes since my
I
childhood.
have candy canes for our Christmas tree that you should never eat because they're very old at this point.
Well, yeah.
But then I have candy canes that I eat.
I think candy canes for me are like caramel corn, or not caramel corn,
Candy
corn, where it's like every year I forget that I don't actually like it. And I'm like, oh, this sounds like a good idea. And then I go eat it and I'm like, oh, it's just a stick of peppermint.
I think
it's
you're
disgusting.
comparing, like, to me, comparing candy corns to
I
candy
actually
canes.
like candy corn better.
Oh
than
my god!
candy
I was gonna
canes.
say candy corn is like garbage, and candy cane is like a stick of gum.
Those little
like those are very
pumpkins,
different things.
Those little pumpkins. I would rather have a little pumpkin than a candy cane.
I'm sorry. We might need to pause this podcast and go have some like counseling because I had no clue you like candy corn, and it is blowing my mind right now in not a good way.
I didn't know you liked candy cane. I didn't know you were the person who was going to eat the candy canes. Like, I didn't think anyone eats them. Mind's
Boom.
blown. There, bloom goes
2
the dynamite.
hours later, after we've processed that one out.
But, you know, if you bring me a homemade candy cane, sure.
If you bring me a homemade
I'll
candy
try it.
corn, I will not. So,
Please tell me. I don't even think I want the homemade candy corn.
okay, back to the movie.
Yeah, so this girl's the villain, which was really interesting because we're
Yeah.
not used to seeing villains in Hallmark movies. There was a little bit of one in the books girls in whatever that Christmas Cherished Memories, Christmas
Yeah.
to Remember last
But I
year.
guess, but it didn't feel like it was like a whole store. It wasn't like a person.
and this was like a girl who's like
Yeah.
clearly out to get this girl's job and will do anything it takes to take it over. And we're fighting against time here.
right.
So she's a catalyst.
So when the truck gets stuck, she's in Alaska. She's gotten the flowers. She's upsold how many she need. Like she got what she needed, and she's heading back to the airport. And he stops at a sign.
Yeah, Matt is in the truck. They're in the Dodge Ram, very clearly.
That is spray painted fake snow salt. And he's like, this is a popular moose crossing. And I just was like, I understand that it means like keep your eyes out for moose, but those signs don't indicate where the animals actually cross.
It's like those people that are like, when they put the sign there, how do the moose know that that's where they're supposed to, cross? Or
like Jimmy knows that this is his track.
Why did the moose just cross there? Yeah, it's not a crosswalk for moose.
And he's in Alaska. Sunsets at 4 p.m. He's got a big truck. Why does he not have chains? Why does he not have plywood to like be able to back out of this like divot he's in?
Cardboard, kitty litter.
Any of the things that we, even in the South, that get like an inch of snow.
An inch of snow, and it's like, nope, staying in my house. I'm not leaving. We don't do it here. Even I know that. So I can't imagine that this man who's living in Alaska, though I guess he is a city slicker. We learned that he really hails from New York. So maybe he's still kind of new to the Alaskan winter. But that seems like 101, yeah.
Yeah, like
don't get stuck in the middle of the afternoon.
It's probably not even his truck if he's not been there for it's probably his uncle's truck, and his uncle probably kept an emergency like get out of this snow divot supply.
Yeah. So he gets stuck, and she's mad about it, and then so she gets stuck for the extra day of this festival in this town of Topeka, Alaska, population 112.
So
I don't buy it.
No, it's like, again, are they only counting like white male voter landowning like what is this? Because there are clearly, like, they do this aerial shot of this town
several times.
There are more than 112 homes in that shot.
And there for a town that you have to get to from a tiny little plane where like the closest city is 10 hours away and it's like super rural Alaska, there seems to be a lot of money in this town. It's a very like cute, it looks like a touristy town,
right? But there is no tourism industry,
right? There's no hotels, there's no bed and breakfasts, but they're holding this festival, this 4-day long festival for 112 people, in these very cute, very nice homes and very nice, shiny, squeaky clean downtown area.
Absolutely, it's crazy.
The general store. I mean, it's like, and what this feels like,
and because there's no like Airbnb or hotel or bed and breakfast or inn, she has to stay with Matt and Aunt Mary at Aunt Mary's house. Now, Aunt Mary's house is as big as the town.
Very nice.
And
very nice.
What I found hilariously interesting is they say they have no bed and breakfast, they have no hotel rooms, but if you look at the door of her room, there is a door number 3, which means guest room number 3. Is her house so big she has to number her doors?
I don't remember.
Or is it in a bed and breakfast and they're lying to her?
I mean, it's certainly there's a theory.
Like, this could have been easily a Halloween movie.
This could have been a slasher film. I guess you'll have to come back with us then. The moose never crossed the road. We have to turn back to town. And that room that she was in was way over decorated. Like, I know we said that there weren't too many decorations in this movie. It wasn't overly done, but the room that she was in,
it was a lot. There was okay, before I get into what was bad, I do want to acknowledge that this is actually some of the least gaudy amount of decor I've ever seen in a Hallmark movie. It was actually very classic, pretty. I was like, oh, this is lovely. There were a few moments, and this bedroom was one of them, where I was like, what were you thinking?
There's garland on the footboard.
On the headboard, on the footboard, on the side table. There's a 10-foot tree in her room.
Right. There's a Christmas tree in their guest room.
And wreaths flanking either side of the bed on the wall.
And they had put garland around the photo frames and stuff.
It was resting on top of the artwork. It wasn't it was insane. The other place that was just a fire hazard death trap was right above their gas stove. And the backsplash is a wreath, like a ginormous wreath.
Well, maybe it's a non-functional stove.
He cooks pancakes on that stove.
Oh, that's why you were saying
I said, watch out.
I heard you make a comment about him. He better not be cooking on that stove. Your inner fire marshal was coming out.
It was enough that there was garland on the hood vent. I was like, okay, well, at least there's a giant wreath next to a gas flame. No, folks. Yeah. Not the place to decorate.
Right. So our girl Jess gets stuck in the town for first overnight, and she gets to go to the first day of the Christmas tree or the first day of the Jingle Bell Flower Festival that they're hosting, the 4-day long festival, she ends up kind of offering her expertise on some of the future planning for things. But then she's going to turn around and head out.
But she also can't say no to the drawing for who will be the Jingle Bell Princess.
At the Christmas tree lot, she gets, first of all, this town of 112 has a Christmas tree lot. And a man who is clearly in love with the aunt, with Matt's aunt.
Mr. Gregory. His name is Ben Gregory, and I love him.
Several little side romances here. But the town girl, I don't even know what role she really played. There was a very like happy-go-lucky, go-getter kind of girl that was running everything. And she demanded that Jess was like, you're going to sign up for this Jingle Bell Princess thing.
She had a lot of lines and a lot of enthusiasm and energy
to
never show up ever again.
Right.
She did not show up once.
Yeah.
She had this like less than a minute scene.
Well, I think she showed up later in the movie.
Did she?
Yeah, at least one. But she wasn't, we never really knew who she was.
That's how forgettable this movie is.
I thought she would have more of a role, and then she really didn't. She was like the planner until we really needed Jess to come in and actually save the day. So
Jess is her fixer. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. She didn't specifically help her directly because it seemed like Matt and his aunt were doing a lot of the planning stuff for this. But yeah, we don't know who that girl is. But she signed Jess up to be in the drawing for Jingle Bell Princess. And one of the first things they did for this festival was
draw for the Jingle Bell Princess. And guess who it is? It's Jess. Because of course we welcome this out-of-towner who has no claim to the throne, who is leaving that night supposedly.
And everybody's really happy about it. They're like, yay!
And all it made me do is think of Midsummer.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a horror movie. And
all I could think about is how all these people are standing around outside, at this announcement for the princess, and none of them are wearing gloves. They're just standing in December Alaska.
Barely have hats on, barely have
jackets
scarves.
Are unzipped. It's like, and they don't seem to be wearing big enough jackets. And this
snow's on the ground.
We had just had a whole scene about how Jess wasn't prepared for the weather
and had to buy all these clothes.
They had to take her to the general store to buy the boots.
Thank
and the clothes,
God
the
that
proper
the
snow boots.
only pair of boots in that store fit her because
yeah.
she would have been out of luck.
My question though is underwear. I hope that girl bought underwear.
Well, I think because she mentioned that she did not bring anything because she thought it was going to be 20 hours in and out, boom, boom, boom.
Right. She didn't even have a phone charger.
Yeah, and Matt saved the day with a phone charger.
But and I hope she bought underwear.
But it was there were so many pieces. So this like festival that we're watching, people were like, "Oh, this is an annual tradition," but here's the schedule. So it seems like, does the schedule change every year? Mm-hmm. Who's changing it? If there's 112 people, how much change is needed? And if there's like annual traditions, it just...
You still need a schedule though. What time does the dance start this year? What's the location of the dance this year?
It just seemed odd. It seemed like something just felt like...
I don't understand why we need 4 days. 4 days for this.
Like if the bloom like only bloomed for 4 days, like...
It's celebrating the opening
yeah, like
and closing
that would
of
be...
the flower.
That would... But,
no.
That's not the case. I do want to go back for a second and talk about, so we're at the Christmas tree lot. We see Mr. Gregory, who has this, like, you can tell that he really, like, is keen on Matt's aunt, Mary. And it was just like, oh, I hope they get together. Spoiler, they do.
Yeah. They dance.
And then all of a sudden, like, the shot cuts to Jess and it's just dark. And she's like, how long have we been here? Again, time warp. It's 4 p.m. He's like, the sun sets at 4 p.m. And she's like, what time does the sun rise? And he's like, 10 a.m. And I thought of Scotland.
We ride at dawn.
And I was like, I could get behind a day that starts at 10 a.m.
And she's like, how do you see when it's dark? And he's like, flashlights.
I did enjoy that.
We do have artificial light mechanisms. Yeah, so the Jingle Bell Flower Festival is off. And we're doing all the events. We kind of skip a lot of the events in the middle. I guess there's like a snowman building contest that she convinces everybody to do.
Which,
right? She starts it.
They have a snow angel contest. They have all of these other things. How have they never, ever, ever thought of building a snowman?
Right. It's Alaska. You have snow. You have lots of it.
It was like someone told them like how to slice bread for the first time. It was like, oh my God, a snowman. This is what we can do with all this snow.
Yeah. So they crown her their princess. Now she has to go to the events, and She also ends up there. They need a part for the plane. The guy who works on the plane up at the airport, he's like, oh yeah, whatever. It can take a while to get parts. 3 days is fast. So, I'll tell you when you're ready to go out on Monday morning. And she's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm stuck here. Because her job is going to be stolen from her because we're apparently closer to this wedding than we thought.
Right. All of a sudden, many days have passed, and if she's not back within like a day or two, she's going to lose the account. I think they had to create a villain because Renee was too sweet. Like, Renee was like, I need you to go and do my wildest whim, but it's for a good reason, and I hate that you're far away from home. Like, she realized the consequences, whereas the villain does not. The villain's just like, I must win at all costs.
And due to her inability to work, and an inability to get back and do what she needs to do, and her lack of reliable cell phone reception, Jess is forced to kind of set her work to the side and start to think about the bigger things in life. So family and this small town festival and the joy of Christmas and actually getting real gifts for her family rather than gift cards that her assistant has ordered for them. And so she opens her sister's Christmas gift. It's this like
beautiful snowflake necklace that is a replica of one that they're like someone in their family used to have. So it was just, this movie was building on, a popular trope, which is like family and family traditions around the holidays and the value of being with family at the holidays and picking family over work.
Right. And she's, becoming closer with this family that she's staying with, and they have a little son who's learning to play the piano, and she's helping out with him because he clearly reminds her of her niece that she's thinking about back at home. And it's making her clearly in the back of her mind consider, do I really want to work in London? She hasn't quite mentioned that to herself yet. She hasn't quite gotten there, but she's starting to.
You can see the doubt,
the value of that time,
and you can see her, and it comes up. They are at the dance because she's stuck there, and she saved the venue, which and Matt is talking to her, and he's like, you've always helped other people like make their dreams come true, but you've never taken the time to make your dream come true. After she just told him that her dream since she was a little girl was to plan events.
Right.
And I was like, if your dream is to plan people's events, then your dream is making other people's dreams come true. Yeah. So Matt, she may have given up her morals, but she's not giving up her dream.
But we know that job dreams are not as important as family values dreams in this world. So that's the stuff
I
that
personally
really
think she should have
matters.
gone to London, but that's
and
just
in his dream, we learn he's been getting these letters from Lexington or University of Lexington, which is in New York, that he actually is from New York.
Right.
And he has been a PhD student, and he never finished his dissertation. He was married. He's divorced. Had no
all of a
kids.
sudden, like at the end, we learn all this information about him.
And it's like, oh, and he could go back to New York, but he's been avoiding it because he's been trying to help out his aunt, and he's been putting it off, and he keeps getting these letters inviting him.
And then all of a sudden we find out he's finished his research and just not told
at
anybody.
At the very end, he's just like, she's like, don't you have to finish your dissertation? He's like, oh yeah, I already finished that.
I was just
like, what now?
And at some point they
and
said
what was it on?
Like, they never explained what his field is.
No.
Nor, like, they at some point in the movie, I feel like I heard them say that the university, like, he convinced the university to pay to do his research in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and he's finished, so that means he's been sitting on this.
Mm-hmm. Well, did he say that they pay or just that they let him do it there? Because there's a difference between, hey,
I heard funded.
Out. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a maybe he's got some sort of dissertation completion scholarship or something.
I would hope that it was on the Jingle Bell
took
flower.
The pay cut to go be with his aunt and live with her and write, and then she was assuming he'd never finished it, but he actually had. And then so he was teaching for the university, and that was his job, and probably as a graduate student. And then at the end of the movie, as we jump ahead a little bit in his arc, he's invited back, or he spoke to the dean and got his teaching job back, which also kind of a strange.
I was just like, I was not expecting academia to show up this early.
In this movie, yeah. Though probably one of the more believable academias I've seen, mostly because there's so few details. There's less things for them to get wrong.
Hard yeah, it's like,
that is a thing that people do. They go elsewhere and finish their dissertation because of life changes, and then they go back. So
again, not too terribly many snarkable moments. Definitely what you would expect from Hallmark. I have a few more that like kind of towards the end. But I want to say I loved that there were those like two side love stories, like the pilot and the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed just like we saw them once, we saw them twice, and then the third time they were together,
Mm-hmm.
like under the mistletoe.
Right.
And then Aunt Mary, it's like, you know, she is a widow, and so she needs someone to take care of. And like Mr. Gregory, the tree man, is going to be that person for her.
Right.
And I was
that
like,
then is what allows our main guy
to leave.
Matt to be able to leave, because
We know, someone's there to take care of her.
The aunt is pushing him, his sister or his cousin is pushing him to be like, oh, you could fall in love with her. And he just sort of decides, you know what? Yes, I'm going to fall in love with her. And he starts to, you know, when you see them together, he starts to ask her more things about herself. He takes her out to see the northern lights, which are very bright.
Like they're like strobing green and blue on their faces.
It's a lot of northern lights.
I was like, I didn't. And how had they not seen them until that
well,
night?
he said it was cloudy.
Okay.
It was the clearest night. So, you know, they start to spend a little more time together. They go make the snow angels together. It's a very cute moment. They spend a 30-second date making one snow angel.
It's a very chase relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There's no almost kiss in this movie.
Nope.
There's just like a slow build. And it's because she knows she can't stay and he's not an option.
Right. They're on a very short timeline.
And then like the love of this movie really doesn't happen until like the last minute.
Right. They go to the dance.
Yeah.
And he puts her, she's in that not cute red dress. I think it's just because it was really boxy on her, but
it just was not right for her frame.
He looks like a model in his suit, but
he does look very nice.
He's very handsome, but
she's just in a red frumpy thing.
Oh, and we haven't mentioned that this is interracial. She's like Hispanic. She speaks Spanish, and he's black, and that family is black, and so he's a very handsome man.
Yes.
In his suit, and you know she starts to take notice of him in that way, and they dance a little bit at the dance, but at the last minute, you know, he has to find a way for her to get home because he realizes that she has basically given up her dream because of being stuck there, because her job is going to get passed on to someone else. The timeline is too short. It's come down to the wire. She's not going to get her promotion.
And that's probably like,
he can't let that happen.
The truest act of love I've ever seen in a Hallmark movie.
He's like, I will get you home.
And so he basically convinces the pilot to take a nighttime flight, which might sound, I think it's probably very risky. There's probably a reason they don't fly at night.
Mm-hmm.
But they decide to risk it and get her back. And
that whole town gets her home. The mayor calls in the favor. They load up all those flowers in those styrofoam containers and they get her back to New York. The only other thing I wanted to mention before the end of the movie was when they're putting up the Christmas tree.
Oh my
They pull out this ornament. Like this is one of the like sequences.
It's a tree
that
topper.
They fall. And it's like, oh, this is a tree topper that's been in our family for 6 generations. And Austin just looks at the TV and he's like, no, it hasn't.
This thing looked like what you buy at Target last year in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It's like got the little swirly whirly thing on it that doesn't ever sit on the tree top
it's
very well.
2010s. It's not a
like,
turn of the century ornament.
I have like a
topper.
3rd generation tree topper, and
it's a finial.
Oh, that's right. I love that word. I have a 3rd generation tree topper, and it's like a crushed angel that my grandmother had. And like that thing is stained and dented. This was like an impeccable star from Target from last year.
Right.
So this aunt is a liar.
She's just making up family generation stuff. But yeah, they get her home. She's there in time to save the wedding with the Jingle Bell flowers. The bride is super grateful. She not only is so grateful that she's able to, you know, she's like telling her parents like, oh my God, she got the flowers. The day is saved. You know, Jess is not in charge of this wedding really anymore, but she's there to kind of.
She's there to support and show that, you know, she can still do a good job.
And at the end, the bride, Renee, hands the bouquet to Jess and says, here, you keep it. Which in
maybe
one
it'll
sense,
bring you good luck.
Right. Why would you not want to keep your bridal bouquet? But in the other sense, you know, you toss the bouquet
you throw
at the end.
And she didn't throw that.
She just directly gave it to her because Jess is next in line.
And in the background, you can see Matt. He's fuzzy, but you can tell it's him because he looks good in like his outfit. He's got a distinct frame.
He's standing outside that church.
And she turns around. And he sees her and she's holding this bouquet. And of course, they finally say it's worth the, like,
I want to take a risk again.
Yeah, I want to take a risk again as long as that risk is you.
And then he says, I'll be your date to the reception. So he basically invited himself to a celebrity wedding.
And I was like, that's not how food and beverage counts work, y'all.
So they walk off together. That's our final shot. Everybody lived happily ever after. So, we found some snarkable moments in there, but for the most part, cutesy, fuzzy.
Well, we'll talk about whether I think they
there.
lived happily ever after when we talk about will this love last. But first, we're going to do a title review. So, Tara, in your opinion, was this a good title?
All right, so the title is Jingle Bell Bride, which I think feels misleading to me because the bride is so barely present.
Right, it's not a present thing at all.
It's Jingle Bell Event Planner.
That's my movie title. So you think that Jingle Bell Event Planner is a better option? Okay, here are my two alternatives. I think it's an okay, but I do think it's misleading. I thought that there'd be more wedding in this than there was, and I wanted to feel that. Like, I was excited about a wedding event. Maybe it was because we just went to a wedding for your brother this weekend. It was like a small ceremony, but it's like, oh, I want to see someone get married. And we did. We didn't in this movie, but we did in real life. So my alternative is just like the Christmas bouquet.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, just something like light, and then like the Jingle Bell flower is just an added layer to it. But because there was a tradition of you do a wish with the bouquet in the town. So like you take a jingle bell, you wrap it around a mason jar for your wish. It was called the bouquet of blessings. So, and like everything was about like this tradition of the bouquet. And I was like, that would have been, so that's like my touching one. My other one that I think would have been punny, because I love that, is an eventful Christmas.
Oh, I like that. I was also thinking Jingle All the Way to Alaska.
Instead of Jonathan Taylor Thomas doing Jingle, because isn't that a Christmas movie with JTT?
I don't know about your movie, but I do think Jingle Bell Event Planner or Jingle All the Way to Alaska would be a more fitting title for this movie. But a negative on the original title. I don't think
it conveys what this movie is actually about.
I get why they did it, but I don't like it. All right, what about Will This Love Last?
All right, I have 3 loves that I want to predict.
Okay.
Matt and Jess. I have not seen enough of them to know whether it's going to last. I think that they will date, that they will be respectful to one another. I think consent will be very present in their relationship.
Yeah.
And like bodily autonomy and all of these things that are important. I think
he was very respectful.
Yeah, I think they will take care of each other. I don't know if it'll have like long-term. Like, I think she's still going to be an event planner. She's still going to repair her relationship with her family. Matt's going to still have to go back to Alaska to be with his family. I think they're going to split when the fact that they realize they want to spend holidays with their families in separate locations. Yeah. They're not going to be able to
But he was doing that before when he lived in New York, and I don't know how long he lived in New York or how much his family's from Alaska. We never really got that full backstory. But because he's lived in New York before, and because he's been a commitment man before, he's been married before. Well, he's ready to settle down. He's respectful that he is, and he wants to be there for the right reasons. Well, I think that they will. I would think they will stay together. I can't predict if that.
I think she's going to pull out. I think he is going to he's going to propose, and she's going to go, oh, I don't want to break your heart. And they'll mutually dissolve the relationship.
Oh, I agree to disagree on that. I think
now,
that
two loves I think that are going to make it and be incredibly successful. Aunt Mary.
And the Christmas tree guy.
And Mr. Gregory.
Yeah.
I think that they're old and they're going to need each other. Mm-hmm. How many other people live in this town that you're not related to? Mm-hmm. And they seem really sweet. And ditto, same exact reasons for the mayor and the pilot.
Yeah, there are definitely giddy school kid vibes from the mayor and the pilot.
Well, and also if it doesn't work out, how does the mayor leave town?
On a plane. She can't.
She's going to be trapped because she doesn't want to be around her ex. So they're going to just stay forever because she's going to feel literally trapped.
Her only way out. Christmas magic?
None.
No, I mean, we don't even know if she made a wish for the wish bouquet and that the wish came true.
She said...
We never learned.
No, she said...
Oh, she did say what it was?
She said, wishes do come true.
Oh, that was her wish? Mm-hmm. Did she wish for him?
She wished for him. That he would come back to New York.
Wow.
That's what they said before they walked down the street.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Yeah, she whispered it. She was
well, that's a little bit of Christmas magic. Your Christmas wishes come true. But
that's just love.
It came true because she put it on the mason jar. And then when would you watch this movie?
So I struggled with this one because I've watched it and I will never watch it again.
Right.
I agree with your point that this is a good October movie because we don't have a definitive Christmas like timeline. We're not celebrating Christmas in this movie. We're preparing for Christmas. I would say that this is a great option for folks who want background like movie when you have people over that you can talk over sometime in like April.
Well, I did the same thing. I said that I would put it around Valentine's Day and take the Christmas out of the movie and just make it a winter movie. Because with the flowers and the wedding and the winter and the Alaska, I think that it works far better as just like a cozy middle of the winter season.
I was thinking
movie.
like flowers blooming. We've got spring. So I think this should have been in the spring, like the spring lineup for Hallmark.
Ooh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But like you still get a little bit of, so maybe it's that early. So maybe it's Valentine's Day, like you're saying, because it's like, that's
preparing for that.
Yeah, you're preparing for spring.
All right. Well, this definitively we have determined not a Christmas movie.
It's okay if you skip this one.
Yeah, you could definitely skip this one and feel okay about your Hallmark countdown season. And we are also, for the purposes of this podcast, we are not going to talk about the Chateau Christmas, which is the Sunday night movie that's coming tonight, unless we see something in it that is
so that we have to talk about.
We might,
but we're not going to feature an episode on it unless it just like blows our socks off.
Yeah, because basically what we'll be doing each week is we will be covering one movie from the lineup that we've kind of predetermined based on, you know, our tastes and things that we think we want to talk about. So you can look to hear from us again next week.
Yes.
We'll pick one of those 2 weekends from the weekend lineup and we'll bring you our thoughts on that as we watch them. So
lots more snark ahead.
Yes.
I'm excited. I didn't, you know, in talking about this, I've warmed up a little bit more. And so maybe COVID won't keep me down.
Yeah. Don't let COVID keep you down. It's Christmas.
I need the Hallmark magic to bring me back.
All right. Well, we have 2 more months of Hallmark magic. So buckle up. All right. Well, I've been Tara.
And I've been Austin.
Merry Christmas.
And happy holidays.